Hey guys, so, um, sorry I look like this. I just got off work. Well, actually, it's a whole long story. I didn't just get off work. I just got off of some things that just happened. But I'm here because I initially posted on YouTube and Facebook. I shared it about my Rapture dream that I had on February 7th, and this was on a Sunday. Um, So I know I posted that it was going to be a preview, but now I have I'm going to go ahead and give you the full everything that I saw in this dream, um, and I wanted to just share with you and give hope to those who don't have hope, um, and let everybody know that the time is at hand. We're living in perilous times. We're living in times of where we can see the signs, we can see the seasons, we can see that Jesus Christ is going to come soon. So I'll go right ahead to my rapture dream. So in this dream, like I mentioned before, I was taking my dad to get a haircut. So we went into this haircut place. In this haircut place, there was the first entrance, which is the main entrance that I went in through, and then there was a side entrance to the side of the building. I apologize. And as we went into the building, my brother Silvio came in with me, and he was there with me too. And then there was this girl who was there with him too, and with us too. I don't know who she was. But in that dream, they were all there with us. And I remember my dad was waiting for him to get a haircut. So in this dream, we were kind of waiting inside the building, and all of a sudden this guy opens he opens the door, where we came in through, and he says, "The rapture just happened." Sorry. The rapture just happened. And he was like, "Hey, the rapture just happened. The rapture just happened." And he screams it loud. And then he closes the door and he leaves. And so I go outside. I open the door and I go outside, and I'm like, "What? How did the rapture just happen?" So when I go out there, there's chaos. I'm talking about people stealing, robbing. I mean, doing every kind of like evil thing that you can think of. They were doing it. Cars were laying around. People were chaotic. People were breaking in, looting, stealing, and breaking into buildings. And when I heard that the rapture just happened, I started to cry, because I was like, man, like, I talked to God and I was like, "God, like, why would you leave me behind?" And I got on my knees and I started repenting, and I started asking God for forgiveness. I remember this sadness that this deep sadness that just entered my heart, and I felt it, and it felt so real. And I got on my knees and I started repenting and asking God for forgiveness, and I told God, "Forgive me for all my sins. Forgive me for everything I've done." And as I got up, I went back inside the building where my dad was and where my brother was, into the haircut place. And as I went in, I remember my brother mentioning something to me. He told me that the rapture was an illusion, that it was not real. And he was telling me that. And obviously, I didn't believe him, and I kind of ignored him. I just remember that part, and I ignored him. And then all of a sudden, on the other side of that building, where that side, these double doors were with these long windows, I could see something bright shining through them. So I go and look outside the window, and I start looking up towards the sky, and I see something bright. I'm talking about bright. Like, you couldn't even stare at it because it was so bright. Brighter than the sun. And I start seeing orbs. These orbs with these white stones in it. And I start seeing these souls going up and down. I'm talking about, there were like these white orbs going up and then going down. And the girl that was talking to my brother all of a sudden got next to me and followed me outside. And as she followed me outside, I saw a white orb with a white stone in it, a very white stone. And it was beautiful. I mean, I'm talking about this orb had gold around, like this gold, like, I don't know how to tell you, like this golden ring around it. And it was white, and then the stone was inside that orb. And it was just beautiful. It was shining so beautiful. And that stone and that orb came straight to her. And when she grabbed it, she disappeared. I looked to my side and I was like, whoa, like what the heck? And I knew right then and there, I'm like, this is the rapture. It's happening right now. And as I was looking up, it's crazy because this is like the part that amazes me. Is that I looked up and I'm like, yo, Jesus, like, I'm like, am I not gonna be raptured? Like, yo. And I couldn't see his face, but I can see he had a white robe. Like, and he was huge, like in the sky. He was huge. And I could see his like white robe. I saw his white robe on him. And I could see his eyes and his smile. And he smiled at me and he kind of like gave me like this glance. Like, you know I wasn't gonna forget you. Like that type of glance, like, come on. And I remember him and I could see like his hand throwing me a white stone and a white orb. And that orb came towards me. And as I grabbed that white orb, guys and women, like, yo, I started floating. Like, I felt like I was floating for real. So I was going up. And as I was going up, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting raptured. I was like so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting raptured. I'm getting raptured right now. Like, oh my gosh, like this excitement came up to me. And as I went up, I was like in this space. I don't know where I was at, but I saw people that I knew. I saw my pastor from Gainesville, Georgia. I also saw a lot of people I recognized. I saw my youth pastor from Gainesville, Georgia. I saw the pastor's wife there. I saw this woman that I really like. She's also like a very like a woman of God, like definitely a woman of God. And I saw her there too. And I started seeing these people here, and I started seeing people from high school too. People that I didn't think were gonna get raptured, and they were being raptured too. And when I got up there, we were all celebrating. Like everybody was like kissing each other like on the cheek and like being all happy. And we were just raptured, we're raptured, and everybody was so happy. Like everybody was excited, you know. And everybody was just like so amazed. But then I felt this sadness in my heart, because as I walked to this bench, there was this bench there, and I could see the world from where I was. And as I was looking down, I saw my dad and I saw my brother, my twin brother there. And as I looked at him, it's like he was looking up at me, and he was asking me where I was at. And then he was like, hey bro, look, my dad's okay. He's like, he's not sick anymore. You know, he's drinking his juice. He's drinking his grape juice. He's like, he's good now. And I could see my dad laying on the bed, and he looked good. And I could see my brother like on a chair next to him. And I was looking down at my brother, my twin brother, and I was like, that's good. I was like, I'm glad to hear that. But my heart was sad, because I know they didn't get raptured. And as I was looking at them, my brother was like, my twin brother was like, where are you at? And I was like, I'm like, hey bro, I've been raptured. I'm in heaven. And he's like, no, for real, where are you at? And I'm like, I've been raptured. I'm in heaven, bro. And he's like, no, like, he's like, bro, like, what are you talking about? Where are you at? And I'm like, bro, like, I'm in heaven. Like, I've been raptured. Like, I can't come to you and you can't come to me. And then all of a sudden I asked for my brother Silvio. He was the one that was saying that the rapture was an illusion. And I asked for him, and I kept asking my twin brother. I was like, where's my other brother? Where's Silvio at? And he kept telling me, I don't know where he's at. And he kept saying this and saying like, I don't know where he's at. I don't know what happened after this. After all this happened, he's like, he disappeared. I don't know where he's at. And that grief came into me, and then all of a sudden I woke up from my dream. All I know is that it was exciting. So I decided to look up. What that white stone meant. So I went to Revelations 2:17. Now, in Revelations 2:17, I'm gonna read it to y'all, so y'all can see what I'm talking about. So Revelations. Let's go to Revelations. Let's go to Revelations. Hold on. 2:17, right? And we're gonna see what God says to the churches. It says, whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who is victorious, I will give some of the hidden manna. I will also give that person a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to the one who receives it. So that's where the Holy Spirit led me, because I asked him, I'm like, what does that white stone mean? And then I saw that in Revelations 2:17 that we will be given a new name, and only the one who receives it will know what it says. And it was a white stone. And I was like, wow, that's what Jesus gave me in my rapture dream. He gave me a white stone, and then I got raptured. And I went with him. Guys, I don't know how to tell you this, but Jesus is coming soon. I've had multiple dreams about him coming soon. I've had multiple dreams of the end times. And it's like the parable of the vine worker. We're in the 11th hour, guys. We're in the 11th hour. Jesus is coming soon. And what do I mean by the 11th hour? So, in the parable of I'm gonna take you there. The parable of the vine worker. Let's go there. I'm gonna take you because I want you to understand this. Okay, so let's go to Matthew 20, 1 through 6. So we're gonna go Matthew. So it says, for the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. About 9 in the morning, he went out and saw others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. He told them, you also go and work in my vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right. So they went. He went out again about noon, and about 3 in the afternoon, and did the same thing. About 5 in the afternoon, he went out and found still others standing around. He asked them, why have you been standing here all day long, doing nothing? And they answered, because no one has hired us. He said to them, you also go and work in my vineyard. When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and going on to the first. The workers who were hired about 5 in the afternoon came and each received a denarius. So when those came who were hired first, they expected to receive more. But each one of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. These who were hired last worked only 1 hour, they said, and you have made them equal to us, who have borne the burden of work and the heat of day. But he answered one of them, I am not being unfair to you, friend. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the one who was hired last the same as I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first and the first will be last. So this is what I'll get from this message. There are some people who at the 5th hour, at the last minute, will be saved and will be raptured. Because even though they went on committing sin, right? And at the last minute decided to turn from their ways. God is just, and his promises are true, and he is faithful. He's not a promise breaker. He will complete his word, and his word will pass. He's faithful. So just like the guy that was hanging on the cross, the two guys that were hanging on the cross, and one of them was shouting, bad things at Jesus, and the other one said, hey, we deserve to be up here, because our actions and our actions led to our to these consequences. So we deserve to be up here. And just as he told Jesus, hey, as soon as you enter your kingdom, remember me. And Jesus told him, what did he say? He said, what was that he said? He said, I'm trying to remember it. He said that today you will be with me in paradise. That man lived his life sinning until the very last hour. And then he met Jesus on the cross. He didn't live for Jesus all his life. No, he sinned until he was up on that cross and he was dying. But he recognized who Jesus was. He recognized that he was the Messiah, and he repented of his sins. And who could have revealed to him that the man beside him was the Messiah? Only God, who art in heaven, can reveal that to us. That's why Jesus spoke in parables, because he didn't want someone following him who one day wanted to follow him and one day didn't want to follow him. No, he chose his people. Why? Because he wanted true believers that would worship him, that would love him in spirit and in truth. Not one day saying, hey, you know what, I want to do this, and then later on say, oh, you know what, Jesus, I'm done following you. Oh, he wants true believers, people that would truly believe in him, that want an intimate relationship with him. So I've had another dream, and I'm going to let you know about this dream too. In this dream, I was at work, and I'm working night shift right now. So in this dream, it was nighttime, and I was working. And as I was working, I looked up to the sky, and I saw the moon. And as the moon was there, I looked up, and I was like, man, the moon looks beautiful. But something in my heart told me Jesus is coming soon. But as I looked up again, the moon was bright and beautiful. It was like a super moon. And in that moon, the moon turned like blood red. And when it turned blood red, immediately after it turned blood red, an earthquake came. And I started seeing the waves of, like these waves, like ocean waves, but on the earth, and on ground. And I was like, whoa. And they were huge. And the destruction was immense. So I started grabbing something that was on the floor, and I held on for dear life. And as I looked up, when the earthquake was done, I looked up and I said, Jesus is coming soon. The rapture is here. And then I woke up. Guys, it's the 11th hour, and let's get serious with God. He is coming. The rapture is going to happen at any moment, any minute, and at any second. And if you're not ready, if you're not aligned with God, you will not go. You will stay here, and terrible things are going to happen. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't mind going through the tribulation. It's not going to be fun and games. It's not going to be as easy as you think. It's going to be a time, the Bible says it, that no one has ever seen. Ever. And if the time wasn't cut short, guess what? Everybody would perish. But because of God's chosen one, he has chosen to cut it short. So let's pray. Let's stay prayed up. Let's stay in communion with God. Let's have an intimate relationship. Let's not just say we're Christians just to say we're Christians, or say I am a follower of Christ just to represent and feel prideful about it. No, let's actually live a life that represents the life that Jesus himself represented when he was here on earth. We have his Spirit. His Spirit is in us. And he is willing to accept anybody who is willing to accept him. Except, it says in the Bible, it says, no one comes to the Father except through me. So you cannot get to God unless you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Accept him. Repent from your sin. Turn away from what you're doing, you know. And if you truly love God, you will not continue in your unrighteous ways. Let's give God glory. Let's give him the honor and glory. Paul talked about it, about the end times. He talked about how people would be boastful, prideful, backstabbers, promise breakers, you know, greedy, lovers of themselves, lovers of pleasure, having a form of godliness, it says. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. Let us not be those type of people. Let us have that true power that Jesus talked about. Rising people from the dead, touching people and letting them be healed. It's happening. People just, the news doesn't post it, but it happens. Happens all around the world with our brothers and sisters in Christ. You see that the news is not going to show you those type of miracles. Why? Because what did Jesus say? They will hate me first, and then they will hate you. They will hate you because you are my followers. Because we follow Jesus. He was hated when he was here on earth. And he's still hated. But he lives. And he's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And through him, everything was made. And without him, nothing can be achieved. Our life is but a withering flower that blossoms today and is gone tomorrow. So let's give our life up to Christ while we can still find him, while he can still be found. So I'll leave you with this rapture dream. You do what you want to do with it. If you want to accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, do it. If you don't, that's fine. God says, let the wicked continue in their wicked ways, and let the righteous continue to be purified and continue to be righteous. Well, God bless y'all. I hope y'all are having a good day, whether it's nighttime, good night, and wherever you are, may God bless you, whether in your work, whether at home, whether you're shopping, whatever you're doing. May God's grace, love, and may his grace and love abound in your heart. And may he be with you at all times. And may he, for those who are feeling weak in the faith, may he boost your faith. May he give you strength in your times of weaknesses. And may he give you strength like a buffalo, so that you may continue on having faith and hope in he who is to come. Well, God bless you, brothers. And this is my rapture dream. All right, brothers. Take care. God bless.